Madam, I only wish to be Jinyan's bride once before I die, to wear my wedding dress, to bow to my husband, and to burn the pear tree my mother left me. Shen Sixian, you've certainly put on quite a show. Liluo, please calm down. Sixian is with child. She mustn't be frightened. I sat in the bridal sedan waiting for you. You went to hold her. I came to you wearing my wedding dress, and you let her wear it. The pear tree my mother left me was burned. You said the tree was dead, but the person was alive. Lu Jinyan, from this moment on, between you and me, it is not the tree that has died. Jinyan, don't let her leave. If she goes, what will people outside think of me? And what of the child? Rest assured, I won't make a scene. I will ensure the vows you took today, the wedding dress you wore, every single word you spoke, all of it becomes evidence before the court. Brother Jinyan, you said after we're married, things will still be as good as they are now? Of course. I, Lu Jinyan, vow to treat you well all my life, then swear it upon my mother's tree. If ever I betray you, then let the punishment be that you never see me again. Take this. Let it be as if I am by your side. Wait for my return, and we shall wed. Miss, this wedding dress is truly beautiful. I heard the general specially sought the finest tailor in Jiang'an, and it took a full year of embroidery. She is certainly thoughtful. Jinyan seems different this time, not like before. Miss, you worry too much. The general's feelings for you. Who in the entire capital does not know of them? Reporting, my lord. Commander Shen has suddenly suffered a massive hemorrhage. I'm afraid the child cannot be saved. General Liu has left his bride halfway down the road. I heard something happened to the one in the east of the city. That woman is carrying the general's flesh and blood. Take me to the east of the city. General, Miss Shen's old battlefield wounds have reopened. Combined with her extremely poor health after pregnancy, I fear this crisis may claim both mother and child. Sixian, you are not allowed to die. Your injury was sustained saving me. I am in your debt. What is giving my life for yours after all? So Deputy Commander Shen is actually a woman. Madam, it is all Sixian's fault. On that battlefield, the general was ambushed. A poisoned arrow came from the shadows. I was the closest to her. I could only throw myself forward. That arrow struck my shoulder. The arrowhead was dipped in poison. I lay bedridden for a full half-month before I could rise. The general is kind-hearted. She came to care for me every day. She changed my dressings, fed me my medicine, and kept vigil by my bedside, fearing I might not pull through. We were both swept away by emotion. Later, I discovered I was with child. The general said the Liu family line has been a single heir for 3 generations. This child must be protected. I beg you, madam, for the sake of the general's bloodline, please spare us, mother and child. I am willing to serve as your slave or maidservant, attending you for the rest of my life. Get up. You are with child. The floor is cold. You must not kneel. Liluo, you're not angry with me? Should I be? Madam, this cup of tea, please drink it. From this day forward, Sixian will respect you as an elder sister. When the child is born, he will also call you mother. You say the child will call me mother when he is born? Yes, Sixian would not dare overstep. Then what do you call me? Jinyan. What exactly was this mission's role by your side? Sixian is my deputy general who accompanied me on the campaign. She is highly skilled in martial arts. She saved my life on the battlefield. Jinyan, I waited 2 years for you to return from the war. For 2 years, I wrote you a letter every month. You replied 3 times. In your letters, you said life in the army was lonely, but you had comrades by your side, and told me not to worry. So this is what you meant by comrades. My lady, if you must blame someone, blame Sixian. Do not blame the general. The general. She has always held you in her heart. Every time she received your letters, she would read them over and over. She told me that Liluo is the most important person in her life, so she even shares such things with you. Now that she has you, what am I supposed to be? Elder sister, you are far more important to the general than Sixian. Sixian would never dare compare herself to you. It's just, the physician says my old wounds have reopened, and this trial may be hard to survive. I am not afraid to die, but the child has yet to see its father. My lady, might I borrow your wedding dress to wear, just once? Sixian, that is Liluo's wedding dress. I had it made especially for her. I know Sixian is unworthy. I only wish to wear a red wedding dress once before I die, to let Jinyan see me in it, even if just for a moment, even if it is only a pretense. Then in this life, Sixian will have been Jinyan's bride. My lady, I beg of you. Sixian asks for nothing else. Only a single moment. After I am gone, you will still be Jinyan's wife. Her one and only wife. No one will remember me. No one. This wedding dress, the gold thread was specially dyed. The pear blossom pattern was painted by her own hand. She said that in this world, this wedding dress, like myself, is one of a kind. If you wish to wear it, then wear it. No need for anything. This wedding dress, I wore it sitting in the bridal sedan. Liluo, you won't be abandoned halfway down the road. I wore it walking into this room, and saw my husband holding another woman. It's already stained with dirt and blood. It's truly beautiful. Jinyan, the wedding dress is on. Shall we perform the wedding vows? Sixian will bow right now. Bow in front of the madam, Sixian. Sixian doesn't want any status, doesn't want a marriage certificate, doesn't want anything at all, just to bow once. So this child knows she has a father and a mother. So when Sixian leaves, there will be no regrets in her heart. Jinyan, I know your heart belongs only to the madam. But this child, born without even a bowing ceremony, if she knew her parents never even bowed, what would she think? Liluo. Just bow once. Let her heart feel some peace. After you and I return to the manor, we will hold the formal ceremony. I promise you the grandest wedding banquet. Go ahead and bow. I will watch. First bow to heaven and earth. Second, bow to the parents. Jinyan, Sixian has no more regrets in this life. Oh, by the way, madam, there's something I forgot to tell you. This morning, the old residence next door caught fire. The fire was quite large. I heard that pear blossom tree, the most beautiful one in the entire capital, was burned. What did you say? I said, the pear blossom tree your mother left you is burned to nothing. Jinyan originally wanted to send people to save it. I stopped him. I said, it's just a tree. If it burns, let it burn. My health is more important. He listened to me. That tree was planted by my mother the year she died. When she passed, the pear blossoms were in full bloom. She told me, Liluo, if you ever miss your mother, just look at this tree. Do you know what that tree means to me? Liluo, you know, that tree was the only keepsake my mother left me. You know, every year on her death anniversary, I sit under that pear tree all night. You promised me yourself that you would protect that tree no matter what. This year was my fault. If I hadn't been unwell, you wouldn't have stayed at the old residence. Liluo, the tree is dead, but people are alive. Sixian is pregnant. I couldn't just leave her to go fight the fire. A burned tree can be replanted, but a lost life is gone forever. Take it back. Liluo, the nuptial wine. We haven't drunk the nuptial wine yet. She burned my tree. She will pay the price. The young lady sent me to deliver this. She said after today, she'll move into the general's residence. This is the new address. Tell her the higher-ups are pressing. Get the list and the city defense map before the 8th of next month. Liluo took my pulse tonight. What did she find? I don't know, but she's the imperial physician's daughter. Today at the old residence, the way she looked at me was off. I warned you. Liluo spent 3 months in the military camp. She's seen the brand of the Northern Liang captives. You must apply that ointment on your arm every day. Not a single day can be missed. This morning was too rushed. It wasn't that you were too rushed. You were too smug. Liluo isn't some ordinary woman who cries and throws tantrums. When she's not crying or making a scene, that's when she's most dangerous. You're afraid of her. I've lived in this residence for 15 years. I've watched her grow up. At 8, she could tell genuine herbs from fakes. At 10, she stitched wounds on injured servants, her hands never trembling. Do you think she wouldn't see through your act? Wrap this up quickly, before she makes her move. Get what you need and leave. What can she possibly do? What can she possibly do? Today at the old house, she took off her wedding dress. She even coughed up blood. What if she wasn't really coughing blood? Is it so hard for the daughter of the imperial physician? The sooner we wrap this up, the better. I checked next door. It wasn't an accident. Someone splashed oil there. I took her pulse at the old house. At the 3 positions Siyuan, Guan, and Qi. Deep, solid, and forceful. The pulse of someone trained in martial arts. The lesser Yin pulse was still. The Qi pulse showed no slipperiness, no sign of pregnancy. SHC. Even the pregnancy was a lie. A false pulse, the sword wound. The coughing blood, all fake. Only one thing was real. She has a red moon tattoo on her arm, covered with a medicinal wash. I've seen that mark in the military camp. The sign of a Northern Liang spy. A spy. She's a Northern Liang spy. Faking a pregnancy. Lurking by Jin Yan's side for 2 years. In such a rush to drive me out today. I was in her way. You know, Amora was at the old house today. She knelt before me and offered me tea, borrowed my wedding dress, and bowed to heaven and earth with my husband. She even told me she burned my mother's tree. I stood there and let her twist every knife she could. I didn't strike back. The chance to strike back comes only once. I'm waiting for her until she holds the most damning evidence in her hands, leaving her no time even for regret. After taking the breath-quieting pill, one becomes indistinguishable from the dead. It lasts for 12 hours. The formula lacks goosefoot. The general's residence dispensary has it. Tonight, I will feign death. Make her believe I am dead. Let her cast aside all caution. I've already sent my brother to find censor foam. She spent the afternoon putting on a show at the old residence. Now it is my turn. After I feign death, immediately deliver the brocade pouch to my brother. Tell her to ask no questions, only to seek out censor foam. Why censor foam? Because she belongs to the war faction. Her political stance opposes Lu Jinyan's. My lady, what exactly are you planning? I will make her pay the price. Liluo, wake up. I have already chosen an auspicious hour. We can perform the wedding rites today. That wedding dress is soiled. I will make you a new one. A finer one. Sister Jinyan does not have such fortune. You must take care of your health. Liluo. Are you truly punishing me this way? Lu Jinyan, Liluo. Never having performed the wedding rites with you, she is not counted among the Lu family. Today, I take her back to the Yi family. Bring me the marriage contract. Since childhood, she has feared being left alone. During those 2 years you were on campaign, she sat beneath the pear tree every day until nightfall. She said it was where you grew up. standing there, felt a little closer to you. Lu Jinyan, you are unworthy of her. You slept for 8 hours. After receiving Moer's letter, I immediately sought out censor phone. She deployed her people through the night. What moves has Shen Sixian made? The day after your death, she moved into the general's residence. Not as a concubine, she took over the main courtyard. On the 3rd day, she sent out visiting cards as the general's wife. The list included the deputy commander's residence in the northern garrison and the vice minister of war's mansion. Before, she was trapped by her status as an outside mistress. Now that I'm dead, she can move around openly and legitimately. We intercepted one carrier pigeon. The codebreaker deciphered it. She's already taken control of Lu Jinyan. The general's residence is in her hands. She's requesting further orders. Her superior will reply, but a pigeon alone isn't enough for a conviction. She can simply deny it all. We need to catch her red-handed with the evidence. With me dead, her inhibitions are gone. She'll quickly pass on the intelligence she's been hoarding. What kind of place would she choose? Somewhere crowded, to avoid suspicion. The Guanyin Temple. The 8th of next month is Guanyin's birthday. All the city's women will go to offer incense and pray. It's perfectly natural for her to go pray. Pregnant as she is, she'll hide the most critical intelligence in the 8th of next month. At Guanyin Temple, in front of everyone, we'll expose her from a pregnant woman to a spy. She won't even get a chance to talk her way out. We intercepted the reply. The 8th of next month, Guanyin's birthday. East side of Guanyin Temple at the end of Xianglong Street. The code phrase. The contact will say, I'm here to request a peace talisman for the safety of mother and child. Sincerity brings blessings. The Bodhisattva will protect you. She sent out so many pigeons at once. She's in a hurry. She also knows that with me dead and her occupying the main courtyard, people will start to get suspicious over time. We'll close the net at Guanyin Temple. Half of that tree is still scorched, but she's growing new leaves. That's enough. Madam, the tea is ready. Do you have any other instructions? Prepare the West Wing room. From now on, all correspondence addressed to the general's residence will be delivered to me. But the steward has always handled them before. The steward is getting on in years. It's time he took some rest. You may go. The 8th of next month. At the Guanyin Temple. We've finally waited long enough. The carrier pigeon has returned. One came back. The other one didn't. The message was sent 3 days ago. By all accounts, a reply should have arrived by yesterday. But there's been nothing. Nothing at all. It was intercepted. Someone capable of intercepting a carrier pigeon would have to be at least a figure like Minister Feng from the censorate. Yi Jingchuan approached her. There's another piece of news. Someone from the Yi family has been making inquiries about the city defense map. They weren't asking military personnel. They were asking people in the Ministry of War. Liluo isn't dead. How can you be sure? It's too fast. She's barely dead and Yi Jing has already reached out to Minister Feng. She's barely dead and the carrier pigeon was intercepted. The Yi family is acting with perfect composure. That's not how people react in grief. It was all arranged in advance. That day at the old residence. She already knew everything. She already knew everything. She wasn't coughing up blood. She was making me lower my guard. Then what do you plan to do? She set a trap for me. Then I'll play along. She picked a fine day for it. The whole city will be there. In front of everyone. Either she exposes me, or I walk away clean. What if she has evidence? She doesn't have any. The pigeon was intercepted, but my name wasn't on the message. The contact was captured, but the contact only knows the code, not the person. Her only hope is the Guanyin Hall. That day, I'll carry the intelligence on me. Then they'll catch me red-handed. I'm giving the intelligence to you. On the day of the Guanyin festival, you'll smuggle it out for me. Are you insane? You're giving me the intelligence. And walking into a trap yourself? I have to go. If I don't, they'll know I've been alerted. They'll investigate relentlessly, and sooner or later, they'll trace it to you. Your 15 years in the general's mansion are more valuable than me. If I die, Vivian can send someone else. But if your line is cut, it's gone forever. Besides, what we have this time is too critical. City defense maps, garrison rosters, lists of stationed officials. If any one of these falls into Ming court hands, 3 years of planning in Beijing will be completely wasted. You kept a copy. Your copy is the original coded letter. Mine is the duplicate. We'll split up. You take the side gate through the rear courtyard. I'll go through the main gate of Guanyin Temple. As long as one of us succeeds, the intelligence will get through. If I'm stopped, your copy will be Bailiang's only chance. Is your copy well hidden? It's hidden. No one would ever guess where. Everything's in place. Lord Feng's trusted men are disguised among the pilgrims. Near the eastern incense area. It's all our people. The moment the contact appears, arrest them immediately. She'll be carrying the item on her today. The Guanyin Hall will be crowded. It's the perfect moment for a handoff. This year, I'm going to pray for a peace charm for the child. I'll go with you. No need to pray for a charm. You need sincerity. Too many people, and it won't work. Pray for a peace charm. To protect both mother and child. Sincerity makes the prayer work. The Bodhisattva will bless you. The item is in the usual place. The eastern incense burner. Someone's watching. Switch to the west side release pond under the third stone lantern. Done praying. I got one for you too. The contact's been captured. They made their move early. I still have the intel on me. As long as I don't make the handoff, no one can touch me. Jin Yan, I'm feeling a bit tired. Let's head back early. Do you think she might already suspect something? A professional spy. The carrier pigeon was intercepted. The contact never showed. If she's sharp enough, she must have sensed the danger. She might have, but she'll still come. Why? That day at the old residence, she knelt before me, offered me tea, borrowed my wedding dress, and bowed to the heavens with my husband. She savors the taste of victory. Someone who savors winning won't admit defeat at the final moment. She will come. She can't bear to see this play end before the final act. Move in. A woman 8 months pregnant. When a horse charges at her, her first instinct isn't to curl up and shield her belly, but to flip in midair. Tell me, what kind of instinct is that? Did her belly just shift out of place? Those moves don't look like a pregnant woman's. Your belly. The defense map of the capital's 9 gates, the garrison roster of the northern capital, a list of stationed officials in the court, and a secret letter to Northern Liang, written in the Northern Liang script, signed by her. Treason and collusion with the enemy. We've been waiting for you, Northern Liang Qianyuan Guard. Take her back and make her talk. The mark of the Northern Liang Qianyuan Guard. The Northern Liang spies our army captured last year. All had this on their arms. You're with the Qianyuan Guard. That's right. I'm a Bailiang spy, planted beside Lu Jinyan for 2 years. All for this. But my feelings for you were real. Taking that arrow was real, too. I had arranged for someone else to shoot that arrow, deliberately aimed a little off, so I could rush in to save you. But I never counted on truly falling in love with you. So everything was a lie? The pregnancy was fake, but the poison was real. I've been giving you a slow-acting poison. Over time, your organs will gradually fail. I originally planned to use the antidote to control you, but it seems that won't be necessary now. You arranged that poison arrow? On our wedding day, you called me to the old residence to pull Liluo away from my side. She was too clever. Sooner or later, she would have seen through me. You burned that pear tree. Yes. I knew what that tree meant to her. I wanted her to give up hope, and indeed, she did. A pity it was too easy a death. Jinyan, this porcelain bottle holds your antidote. 1 dose a month, for 12 consecutive months, to fully purge the poison. Now I have only this 1 bottle left. Now you have no antidote. I've left you half a year. If you still want to live. Step aside, General Liu. She is no longer your deputy. She is a wanted criminal of the court. Move aside. The embroidered uniform guard needs her alive. The list of Bailiang's Qianyuan agents, the locations of their safe houses in the capital, whether there are others in the court. What's in her head is worth more than her life. Take her away. Let's go. The show's over. General, this batch of arms has been reported as a loss. By regulation, it should go to the smelting furnace, but selling it to border traders from Beijing, we can get 30% more silver. This is a capital offense. The compensation silver for our fallen soldiers. The Ministry of Revenue has delayed it for half a year. Our brothers' families are waiting for grain to cook. This batch of armaments has already been reported as damaged. It doesn't exist on the books. No one will check. Just this once. Never again. The 3rd day of the 12th month. Beijing branch. 1 batch of scrapped armaments. Total, 40 long spears, 12 crossbows, 300 arrows. Entered into the ledger. 200 taels of silver. This is the quartermaster's private account book. It bears your personal seal. This matter has nothing to do with Sixian. It was my own decision. That year, heavy snow fell on the northern border. The compensation silver for fallen soldiers was delayed half a year by the Ministry of Revenue. The bereaved families couldn't even afford winter coats. This batch of armaments had already been reported as damaged. It didn't exist on the books. I thought no one would find out. You think every person who has committed a capital offense has uttered those 2 words. These are what Miss Shen asked me to keep. She said the general bestowed them. The quartermaster depot's accounts. 3 months ago, grain and fodder ran short on the northern border. The soldiers survived on gruel. How did the silver for purchasing these supplies end up here? You knew nothing. But she was your adjutant, someone you kept at your side, whether you knew or not. This debt is laid at your feet. By the mandate of heaven, the emperor decrees, the former northern border general, Liu Jinyan, for laxity in command, allowing a spy from the northern frontier, Shen Sixian, to lurk under her command for over 2 years, stealing more than 10 pieces of critical military intelligence. The northern border defenses entirely compromised to the enemy, is deemed guilty of negligence and collusion. Second, for failure to maintain military discipline. Military supplies and pay embezzled and sold by subordinates. Accounts in disarray. The soldiers suffered while the storehouses were full. This constitutes embezzlement and dereliction of duty. On your wedding day, you held a separate ceremony at an outer residence, a violation of human ethics and ritual order, disgracing the dignity of a court-appointed official. This constitutes the crime of false governance and moral failure. For these 3 combined offenses, you are hereby stripped of your rank as general, reduced to commoner status, exiled to Zhangzhou, never to return to the capital. All lands and residences under your name are to be confiscated in full. Thus decreed. Convicted subject. This convicted subject receives the decree and gives thanks for His Majesty's grace. Inside are things for your journey. The Chili Arch told me to inform you that Missy has returned the fragments of your jade pendant. Who is your handler? We intercepted your carrier pigeons, 3 of them. The coded message was identical in each. You have control of Lu Jinyan. The general's residence is secured. Requesting further instructions. Yi Liluo is dead. In less than 3 days, you dispatched 3 carrier pigeons. You really were impatient. The very day Magistrate Feng intercepted the pigeons, he transferred the case to the embroidered uniform guard. The coded message on those pigeons bore the mark of the Northern Frontiers Qianyuan Guard. A case involving the Qianyuan Guard. So you started watching me because of the pigeons. Correct. In less than half a month, you hid for 2 years. We never detected you. That, I admit. But you made one mistake. You should not have touched Yi Liluo. If she had not died, Yi Jingchuan would not have gone to Magistrate Feng. Had Magistrate Feng not come to us, it is a chain. You toppled the first domino yourself. Now tell me, how many more safe houses does the front courtyard guard have in the capital? Who is your handler? I will not speak. No rush. What the Imperial prison never lacks. You may resort to torture. What we have most is time. What about her? I do not know. But Lord Feng said, Miss Yi mentioned only one thing in her letter. Keep Shen Sixian alive. Alive to face judgment. She truly denies me a swift end. Just like that day at the old residence. I have already made arrangements in Sangzhou. Mother's former home still stands, though somewhat worn. A little repair will make it livable. The border town lacks physicians. Your arrival will draw no attention. When do I depart? In 3 days. Liluo, there is something I must make clear to you. Faking death to annul the marriage is deceiving the throne. The marriage was decreed by His Majesty. You faked your death to escape. The embroidered uniform guard knows of this. Lord Feng knows of this. It is impossible His Majesty does not know. His Majesty has not pursued the matter, because after Lord Feng submitted Shen Sixian's case, His Majesty, in consideration of the Yi family's meritorious service, tacitly approved this affair. But tacit approval does not mean you can return from the dead, resuming your life as the Yi family's eldest young lady in the capital. If you were to flaunt your presence in the capital, that would be a direct slap to His Majesty's face, telling the entire world that a marriage decreed by His Majesty can be so easily undone by a woman faking her death. When that time comes, His Majesty's grace will turn into His Majesty's. Yi Liluo is already dead. She died in the morning hall of the general's residence on the day the marriage contract was returned. That woman practicing medicine in Sangzhou is not Yi Liluo. Mother walked out of Sangzhou back then, walked all the way to the capital, and became the wife of an imperial physician. Now her daughter walks back from the capital, retracing the path she once took. That hardly disgraces her memory. Take Mother's medical journal with you. All the medical cases from her youth treating patients in the border towns are in here. The older folks there might still remember her name. When you go, they'll treat you like one of their own. Mother wrote here that Sangzhou has fierce sandstorms, but the people are genuine. I want to see the roads she once walked. Leave in 3 days. These 3 days, I want to go see that pear tree. New branches have already sprouted. They're taller than last year by a fair bit. Dr. Yi is busy. Miss, you've been leafing through this medical record for 2 years now. You must have every page memorized by now. Even if I have it memorized, I still want to see Mother's handwriting. Each time I look, there's 1 time fewer left. This afternoon, I'm going to change old Wang's dressing. No need to wait dinner for me. Mother said Sangzhou has fierce sandstorms, but the people are genuine. In her youth, she treated patients here. She walked the very same road I'm walking now. She never got to see Liluo grown up. By coming here, it's as if I'm letting her see that her daughter has also become a doctor. Sent from the young lady in the capital. From Lord Feng's people. Lu Jinyan is dead. Poison took her on the road to exile 3 months ago. She finally stopped in a place called Sangzhou, less than 30 li from here. Miss, I'm all right. Lord Feng said that when she died, she was clutching something in her hand. Not medicine, not dry rations. A piece of broken jade. That jade pendant I gave her. It shattered into 3 pieces in the bridal sedan. 1 piece is with me. 1 piece she picked up and kept. And 1 piece was never found. Lord Feng asked if I wanted it. I said no. Burn it. She clutched that shard of jade for 2 years. That was her own obsession. Keeping this piece I have, that's my own business. But I don't need hers. Mother said spring comes late to Zhangzhou. But when the flowers bloom, they spread out in a vast sea. The pear blossoms have opened. Mother, your daughter is here. And my life is just beginning.